Hello, Deborah. This is a response to your Unit 2 discussion post. What can positive researcher learn from an interpretive researcher? What can an interpretive researcher learn from a positivist researcher? Um, Now, you did a very good job in answering this question. In fact, I'm very impressed with what you bring in. There are a couple of things that I would address, though. Um, First off, I don't know that it's necessarily true that most positivist researchers, or if we said natural science, excuse me, researchers truly believe that the researcher and reality are separate. But I would say rather um, they want to make sure, or they are very cautious to create conditions in which the researcher does not affect the thing that they are researching. Okay, so I don't know that it would be true to say that they believe that the two are separate. Now, one of the things that they do tend to shy away from is what you talk about in the third paragraph in phenomenology and hermeneutics. I'm going to put this in shorthand: meaning making. Um, positivist researchers generally focus on what is happening, um, and possibly even why something is happening, without necessarily leaving anything to interpretation, or to without necessarily looking for meaning in things. Um, so this is happening, this is why it's happening, and we create basically positivist theories and understanding, not based on anything that's open to human interpretation. Um, we are actually looking at what is just occurring and trying to figure out under what natural conditions this thing occurs. Interpretive researchers do many times look for meaning in something, at very least how people interpret the world that they live in. So it's very, very difficult, or it has proven very difficult, to try and come up with some natural law to govern human experiences. Um, Not all people in all situations interpret events or the elements of their world in the exact same way. Now, we're not talking about going out and doing experimental research and interpreting that experimental research correctly. We are talking about interpreting, say, messages in the media. Well, any number of things can affect how we interpret a message in the media. Our ethnic background, our education, our religious background, whether we had a good breakfast or a bad breakfast, all of these things can affect how we interpret things. So, interpretive researchers recognize that it's not as, when dealing with humans in particular, things are not as cut and dry as positivist researchers would sometimes like things to be. And I was impressed that you brought in phenomenology and hermeneutics, ways of learning and ways of interpreting the world around us. It's wonderful, very good. So, overall, very small things that I wanted to bring up and just caution you on. Uh, like I said, don't oversell things. When you talk about uh, positivism, I'm terrible with this. Uh, Make sure that you speak about this in nuanced terms to be as accurate as possible. Same thing as saying interpretive uh, interpretive researchers oppose the positivism of natural science. I don't know that you would say that most interpretive researchers oppose it. They just don't necessarily think it can apply um, in all cases when talking about human experiences. So those are small nuances, but they're important. So make sure that you don't paint with too broad of a brush. Okay. So words have meaning. Let's use them like a scalpel, not like a sword. Okay. Cool. Very good job, by the way. Very good job.